Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. We are very honored to have Aaron with us, and we are here to kind of really start a movement, get an introduction to Aaron's movement. I first want to introduce Aaron as well. Aaron is a Landmark alum from 2004. He is a director and actor, producing with his company Howlin' Wolf, and he's going to explain all his background. But for me, I'm just very honored that he continues to reach out to my office to provide mentorship and these opportunities for networking. As his ideas come abroad, he's always thinking of us and, what a better chance to kind of really feel and pull some ideas from a community about the movement, from the community that it really affects. So we're honored to have Aaron, and I would really like you to we'll start with you kind of really introducing yourself, maybe a little bit of your Landmark journey, and then we can just really jump into the whole movement.
Sounds great. Thank you. It's great to be here. I've loved being a part of Landmark in all different ways, from being a student there to speaking there. I did a commencement, I think, and doing the commercials. Those were fun. And now we're on Zoom. So it's come all different forms of media, from this weird in-person thing that we don't do that much anymore to Zoom. And my journey at Landmark, real quick, was I didn't want to go to Landmark at all. I was told about it. I had been diagnosed with learning disabilities right toward the end of high school, even though I had dealt with them throughout my schooling. I just hadn't had an official diagnosis. No one had known what to do with me. And then after high school and things weren't going great, and I was told about Landmark, and I said, no way, I'm not going there. I'm from LA. Vermont felt far, which it is, and it was just not, I didn't understand the purpose. And then I went there, visited, and then I decided to go, and I was there for a couple of days and immediately wanted to leave. And my mentor at the time, who's just retired, Jim Bauckham, really convinced me to stay. And it was the best decision I could have made, or he could have made for me, because it changed my life. I was into film and acting and directing before Landmark, and at Landmark I really got to keep pursuing it while also actually doing school, which never did before. I was just doing film and acting and stuff. And so then I got really into both, and I was doing school, and I wanted to do Landmark, do great at Landmark, make films, and then see what was next on my journey. And it turned out that Landmark gave me the opportunity to then go to New York University. I made a couple films at Landmark, one that was used for a little while as a film that people watched when they first got to Landmark, called The LD. And you can still watch it actually on Amazon. And
it's in our library.
And it's in your library, even easier. So that was my Landmark journey, was getting there. It became this place where I learned how to learn. And I also learned how to be the best version of myself, which I'm going to talk a lot about today, because that's such a big importance, I think, in our society then, now, and in the future, is making sure that we're our best selves and we're not just trying to conform to what society wants us to be or what we're supposed to be. All those supposed to's in our language are just, to me, need to be thrown out the window so that we can be our best self. And at Landmark, I learned a couple things. I learned a lot about acceptance of others and people who are different, and how we all have beautiful things to add to our society and culture, no matter what people may think of us or have viewed us as in the past. And also that we can look in the mirror and be proud of who we are, in spite of what labels we may have been given. And that got me to doing this new thing called I Am Able. It's a new foundation that we're launching, and we've been growing recently, and now we're getting a board together. We've got all this fun stuff going on, 2 executive directors, all kinds of stuff. But it's been my passion for so long to make sure that people feel that they're empowered with their differences, not that they feel that they have to hide in a corner with them, whether it's in school, in college, which is also school, at the in the workplace, wherever it may be, at home, in the family environment. People feel empowered to be them, to feel like they are able. And that's why those 7 letters are so important to me. I am able, to be able to say, I am able, I am capable, I am everything, and everything that I could have hoped for, I'm gonna try to be, and there's no one that's gonna stop me. So I think with that, I'd love to show the trailer piece of I Am Able, which is a trailer for the documentary film we're making, and the piece that shows what the I Am Able Foundation is about, and then I'll keep going. I don't think there's sound.
That is so impressive.
Awesome. Thanks. So what I would do right now if we were in person, but we're on Zoom, is tell everyone to say, I am able together. We can do that, but just not in a room where we hear all the voices together. So at least to yourself, just say it with a smile, that because we are all able, whether we're a parent, whether we're a student, whether we're in the workforce, whatever we are all able. So say it right now. And the whole idea with this is to make sure that to show that people need to feel they are a part of, not apart from. And having an invisible disability is not something where you should feel ostracized or an out or feel like an out.
Is that on? Is that on our end or his end? Oh no. Uh-oh. Did we lose him? Uh-oh. Let me. Sorry, everybody. Let me get him back in. Right? Is he frozen? Oh, he is. Sorry. Technology. I thought it was going to be the video, but it wasn't. Sorry. But with Aaron there he is.
I have no idea what happened, but I was on a roll, and then they just poof, I was gone.
That's
So yeah, what I was saying is that we all need to feel with I am able. What we are doing is making sure and going to different schools, to corporations, law firms, studios out here, and showing people with a multimedia presentation that everyone needs to feel they're able. If people in the audience, like just like now, either they or someone they know probably has some sort of invisible disability, and we need to recognize that so we can accept it, and so that we can understand it, so that we can build people up, not bring them down. And so here I'm going to tell a few stories about my life, and I wonder if people can relate. As you saw, I had the Aaron chair, so that was something that followed me in starting in like second grade through high school. I would get sent out of the classroom, like go to the Aaron chair right now, because I'd be misbehaving. I couldn't pay attention to save my life, and I even felt it in college, and then even after college a little bit when I was doing certain jobs that weren't the film jobs where I was making a film, where I felt completely in my hyper focused control, and I wasn't understood totally. And we need to change that so that everyone feels that way. Like there's one story I remember in high school. I was always bad at doing the assignments on time. I was doing them last minute, and if I got them in, usually there was something I would have forgotten to do. So one time I had to get my parents to sign a piece, the report or the paper I had done. It was like a big project for a class. I don't even remember what the class was. And I go to the classroom, and the teacher's like, all right, everyone, by the end of the class, everyone has to have that paper ready and with the signature, or else you fail. And I sat there, I'm like, uh-oh, I do not have a parent's signature. That is not on my paper. I did get it done. So what I had done, so this is where the resourcefulness of having invisible disabilities, I think, comes in handy and can then be a big benefit in life. is I said to the teacher, I have to go to the bathroom. And I ran to my car. I drove to my father's office. I ran up to his office. I had my dad sign the paper. I drove back to the class. I got back just in time for it to end. I said, sorry, long bathroom break. Lots of problems in there. And then I handed in my paper. And that was one time I just remembered because I was proud. I was like, wow, I figured out how to actually get by the forgetfulness and the massive ADHD that I have. And one time when it didn't go as well was I was always telling the teacher I had to go to the bathroom because it was just a way to not have to sit still and listen for so long because I just couldn't do it. So one day I decided I was going to go. I was a freshman, a very small freshman, and I decided I was going to go play tackle football with the seniors at lunch break. So I'm out there playing tackle football. I catch a pass, I get tackled, and I felt my arm break. And then I had to go back into the class for the next class. So I told the teacher that I think I broke my arm. Can I go to the infirmary? He was so used to me saying I have to go to the bathroom. And I just because I was leaving all the time, he actually came up to me, grabbed my arm like this, and started shaking it and said, Aaron, you're fine. And then I was in pain. So I just waited till he like turned around to look at the whiteboard. And I kind of darted out of the classroom, went to the infirmary. And in fact, my arm was broken. So that was the time when I wasn't able to get out of the situation. The teacher wasn't listening to me, did not understand who I was. And I had a broken arm, which was, his name was Mr. Kohler. I do remember his name, calling him out. Hope he's not on this, probably not. So that was a time when it didn't quite work. So both those stories, I think, need to go away. The one where you have to remember everything or you get punished and they don't understand you, and the one where a teacher further breaks your arm should not be something that happens all the time. Both those stories should not be the norm. And and another thing that I've thought of a lot, because in this room right now, we are, to me, the start of the change. We are, it's us that make change happen because we're the ones that understand this better than anyone else. And then we're like the trees, we're like the branches of the trees. Then we grow out and influence other people so that other people can make a difference. When we come out of the closet with our disability or with the person we know who has a disability and explain to people who we are, then they understand, and then the next person understands, and then the next person understands. And that's how with I Am Able, and there's a square that we're sharing, and we're inviting people to tell stories about their disability, the things that they've struggled with, and the things that they've achieved, the things that make them who they are, that they're proud of. That's how those branches can expand and the tree can grow. Because one thing that I've also learned or seen in life is it's like a roller coaster. We're told to conform, and then we're told to be different. And then we're told to conform again. Like in school, we're told conform. You have to know these subjects. You have to do it this way. Even in the social, like the popular system of school, you got to be like the cool kids. So be like them. Do like this. Be like that. Then you go off to college, and it's a little bit more about standing out, being different. What's your unique talent, while also fitting in? So it's a little bit of both. Then you're thrown out in the workplace, and it's be as different and unique and stand out as much as possible so that you can get a job, or especially with people like myself who have learning disabilities, and a lot of people on here who either do or know people who do. You got to stand out because our brains work in that more entrepreneurial, be different, artistic, creative, whatever it might be, way of being. And then we have to stand out. And then you get into a workplace, and then you have to fit in again. And to me, that roller coaster needs to stop so that people can just, throughout the whole ride of life, be understood that no, it should be consistent. You should be accepted at all times for who you are and what you're good at and not good at. And that whole idea of successes and what the word success even means. Like, I've had a career, I've had successes and failures in making film, in acting and directing and doing things that I love and I'm passionate about. And I always say every no leads to a bigger and better yes. So come along on the so look on the side or come along for the ride. And I believe that with all of my heart, that we are our own success. We are the success with those who we let in to help build us up and do the things that we're not good at, so that we can collaborate and make the best team possible. And the more we learn, I think collaboration should be a mandatory subject in school. Collaboration, just learning how to collaborate with people. Throw a subject and everyone picks the thing that they're good at and collaborate together to, as a group, make a success and a successful project, whatever the subject might be. It doesn't really matter. And that's where I believe that success is not necessarily just what the system says. It's what we make of it when we look in the mirror ourselves. So that's another piece of where I Am Able, and the just so you know, the I Am Able movement is iamable.info. And before I keep going and then open it up to questions, one other piece that I've learned and I think is really, really important too is adaptation. That we keep learning how to adapt. And not just us, the people who have learning disabilities, but the system needs to be adapting more. During COVID, a lot of parents got to see a lot more closely and hands-on how their kids learn. In the workforce, a lot of people got to do their job in the way that they know how to do best, not by going in and having in-person meetings all the time and doing it the way the system has always run. But I think that's good and bad, because we're also not meant to just be doing things on Zooms. We're meant to be in person at times. We're meant to collaborate at times. And the moment when Zooms are done and going in person, at least some of the time, is back, we can't go back to our old ways. We have to go forward. We have to keep moving forward with what we've learned in these last number of years, 2 years almost now, with what we've learned in these couple of years. And as COVID ends, we have to take what we've learned from this period of time where we've gotten to be hands-on with ourselves, with our kids. I don't have kids, but with our kids, we have them, with our friends, and know that we have to accept each other for who we are and with what we've learned during COVID, and not with how things used to be, and keep advancing as a society so that we can encourage everyone to know that they are able, and I am able, we are able, we are all able. And before I continue, just so you know, this is a close-knit group of friends and new friends, that I'm available to talk to anyone on social media. I'm the Aaron Wolf on all the different platforms. And also for us here, my email, I'll just give it out because it's a landmark thing, Aaron@howlingwolfproductions.com. So if you have any questions for me, want to be more involved with this, that's Aaron, like AARON, at howlingwolfproductions, which is my company.com. And if you have any questions, want to be a part of it, want to submit a video because you want to be proud of what you're able to do, have people that you want to be involved with the film we're making, this documentary feature, with the movement, with the organization, with being part of the speaking that we're going to be doing at corporations and at schools. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what involvement you want. We're even building a special advisory board right now of people who are going to be more a part of the movement. So with that, I hope everyone can say a little louder than before. I am able. So let's try one, and then I'll open it up to questions, comments, suggestions, thoughts.
Yeah.
So let's say it. I am able.
I am able. Great. For the Q&A, just a little housekeeping. I think this is a small enough group that we could probably like just raise our hands to go. But there's also the availability of the chat, and I'm more than willing to read the chat if people place questions in there. But I think we're a pretty intimate group. I think for me, I would maybe start with thinking about like, what would you want to see like the first few pieces of the movement be, from how you bring us in, as there's alumni, there's a few students on here, and there's some faculty and staff. And so with knowing that, how would you like to see us kind of support you? I know you mentioned different ways, but is there something that's happening first, or something that we should kind of maybe look out for?
Yeah, I go to the iamable.info site, and you can see there's squares that say I am able, and you can post them, hashtag I am able, and you can also submit your story in a minute. And the more we get, the more this collage grows, the better and bigger we will keep growing, as we're putting this all together right now. We're really in the final stages with some really cool stuff, and who's going to be on the board, who's going to be a part of this. And also, if you have a suggestion of someone who might be good for the advisory board too, these are just, again, more people who we want to lend their voices, who have some influence in our society. And so I'd say that. Oh, and also if you submit your video, you might be in the film, because we're making that film. It is going to have a piece that has a collage of all the voices. And so I would say those are the biggest things, and follow along. I believe it's I Am Able Foundation on all social media platforms as well. So follow along there. So I would say those are the beginnings, and then let me know what you think. If you have ideas, we're finishing the fundraising for the film right now. So if you have thoughts on people who would be good to be involved with it, who want to be a part of it, we're really only accepting people who believe in this, not people who are just they want to be a part of a film, but people who believe in this subject about invisible disabilities. So that's a lot of different things that you can do.
Great. Yeah. Anybody else have a question for Aaron, or specifically about the movement?
Or anything in my career. I didn't really talk about my career.
I'll unspotlight you so that we can see everybody. There we go.
And I didn't talk too much about my actual career and the things I've done, because I thought this was more important. But if you have questions about that, making movies, Hollywood, being the ups and downs of this world, and having movies come out in theaters, and being on TV, and doing interviews and all that stuff, I'm happy to talk about that stuff too. I am someone who's been on Fox News and CNN, so not a lot of people can say that.
I guess I did have a second question personally. Do you feel like the foundation will still first work with like elementary schools, or is there kind of like a kind of a staging process that you are hoping for, or is it just kind
there's no age that's too young or too old for this. There are no limits to where I believe this needs to be heard and felt. And age-wise, I'll give an example. I was showing a film I made in Westchester, outside of New York, a very wealthy film center community thing. And afterwards, these two women, probably in their 70s, came up to me and said, Aaron, at the end, you'd mentioned that you're doing something with learning disabilities, or that you have learning disabilities. Or I think they just said disabilities, that you have disabilities. We don't understand. How can you have disabilities and you just made that film and did that speech that you just did? And I looked at them and I said, let's talk for a minute. You have to understand that I have abilities and I can do what you just saw, and I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And then I also have things that society has said are disabilities. There are things that ADHD, dyslexia, things that I'm not, that hold me back in certain areas. And that doesn't mean that I can't accomplish things. It just means that's a part of me. Mm-hmm. And they looked at me confused and didn't really understand it. But it shows that it doesn't matter what your societal background, what your age, every age, I believe, needs to be learning about this. And of course, little kids need to be empowered and understood as well.
Great. Does anybody have a question that they want
to? You can ask absolutely anything.
Just want to say, I love you. Good movement. I love what you're doing. I support it. That's why
Blake.
You're a good dude. Keep it going, man. I like it.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
I appreciate that. Do you want to, you can just say that all the time.
I'll say that all the time. It's funny because we stood up at that one event, in New York, and now you're standing up with all these other people. I remember we were rushed to the stage to stand up for like that gem event or whatever it was in the city. So it's just good to see you doing your thing, man.
Oh yeah. Now I remember that. Yeah, I had forgotten.
I got to meet you the first time.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but that was fun. Yeah. And everyone did stand up. That was cool.
Yeah, so I like to see you do that with everybody, and I'm inspired and excited. I had a buddy that made a different type of similar video, and I'm just excited you're doing it. You're starting a movement. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, in the standing up thing, I've found whatever the audience and people who can't stand, raise your hand, I say as well. But if it's just that empowerment, everyone coming up as one to show that we all have struggles and we also all have, it feels different. It feels, I did it once. I remember I did an event with Wolf Blitzer of CNN, and I remember him standing up. And this is a guy who, you just think kind of knows everything because he's on the news for my whole life. And then he stood up. I just thought, yeah, he should be standing up. Everyone has things they struggle with, even newsman.
I know a student that couldn't make it that had a lot of questions for you, and I did forward them your contact, so hopefully they reach out. But they were very interested in knowing, did you think from making that first movie at Landmark that that kind of lit the passion for you to do kind of social justice within your films and your storytelling?
No, it didn't actually. It would be nice to say it did, but it didn't. I just have always loved making films, and I also always draw from things that are something that I know here. I say I could never be someone who makes Transformers 7 because I just can't relate to it. That doesn't do anything for me. But if it's something that I know, or even like an adventure movie like the one we made last year, I still put things and people and characters that I know. And then I realized, I can translate that the next level to things I know that also can impact people and make a difference. The comedy that we did, the LD, was really about having fun and making a comedy about all the stuff that I'd seen at Landmark and all the people I'd met, and just having fun with it. But then people reacted in a way where they really they felt empowered by it. And so it definitely got me thinking in that direction. But the next thing I did wasn't like to go do social justice and social action stuff. It was a number of years later before I felt really empowered. After NYU, I got hired to do some stuff. And then I thought, I want to do stuff that makes a difference and stuff that is entertaining. I want to do both, because there's no better feeling than someone walking out of a film that you made, or a production you did, or a play you acted in, or anything that you're a creative part of, and feel like one person walked out of that and they're now going to go feel a little better about themselves or do something a little different in their lives. That feeling for me, because once you're done with a project, you're done. It's theirs. And if one person can take that little bit of information or something they got out of it, some emotion they felt, something they learned, and go do something with it, to me, there's nothing better.
Thank you. I'll try to capture that as much as possible to share with him, but I'm sure he will reach out. He's very interested in kind of doing a similar path.
That's great.
Mhm.
Someone raised their hand. I saw in this.
Oh, let me
I just
go,
see
Adam.
one.
Yeah, that was me.
Adam.
So Aaron, thank you so much. While you're talking, I happen to have my son, who's in elementary school, walk into the room, and he heard you say the word elementary school, so his ears perked up, and as a young guy with dyslexia, he said, well, he sort of mentioned to me while I had my mic muted. Well, can you have Aaron talk a little bit about how kids who think that this is a good idea might be able to get their, in his case, his elementary school community more involved?
That's a great question, because that's exactly what we're doing here, is getting it so that people feel empowered, like your son, to be involved. Here, I'll give an example. I'm Jewish, and I grew up in an area and went to a public school where I was the only Jewish kid. And what I did is I'd have a day where I asked the teacher if I could talk about what being Jewish was and what the holiday was. And I remember I started doing that in third grade, I believe. And then people understood who I was. And at your son's school, there's going to be more than one person who has a learning disability or learning difference. So what I would do is do the same thing I did about being Jewish, but I was not as brave as your son to want to make an impact in his school. And I would grab a few of the buddies who also have learning disabilities and be proud of it and see.
Did we lose him again? No. Can't win. Yeah.
It's on such a good roll too. It's like,
I know he was. I wonder
my son was
what.
nodding along.
I know. I wonder what part. Poor Aaron. Sorry, everybody.
All right, sorry, I don't know what happened again, but
No problem.
that I would try to look at it instead of what can I do because I'm different. Look at it, what can I do to empower others to understand how great I and my friends are who have learning disabilities? Not as the outcast, but as the person trying to inform or showing the superpowers that we have as people with learning disabilities or learning differences. And the more we look at it in that way, instead of as we're different, no, they're different because they don't understand us.
Mhm.
We get them. We can see how they learn. They don't understand us. We have to teach them because they're the ones who aren't quite understanding everything.
He was nodding his head all along with that.
Yeah. Awesome. That's the goal, is we nod our heads together, because then we can get other people to nod their heads with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think for myself, and I'm sure some of the other, alumni probably feel the same way. Is like, for me, wanting to be motivated around it is to make sure that like my children don't go through what I had to go to, being told to just read a dictionary and that was gonna fix it. When you can't read a dictionary when you can't read, yeah, that's gonna work. That's what I had an English teacher tell me in high school, and so I think, I'm so thankful that you're kind of really starting this. It's, I feel like the whole peer-to-peer option is really motivating compared to some of the other opportunities out there that it seems a little bit more big top down. I think this is very interesting to kind of have it be that peer-to-peer, the storytelling piece of it that kind of really makes it even more important and leaves a legacy in some way. So I really thank you for kind of really starting this and thinking of Landmark, our community, bringing in educators, because sometimes that's not always the thought process in these type of pieces. So I think it's important that we recognize the opportunity to kind of be the first, and I'll do my best to kind of really move it along in any way I can. I know Adam is very eager to do so, and you've got some pretty amazing alumni leadership here that are also very eager to support you. So I think you.
I love it, and let's keep this conversation going, because that's what we're doing, and we're using media. We don't want to get up in front of a classroom, in front of a group in a studio, and just do a PowerPoint presentation. We want to use media. We want to use movies. We want to use excitement and fun to educate others about who we are and who they might be, and they are scared to even admit it or talk about it. And the more that empowerment happens, the more we're really making that difference together. Yeah. So it starts here.
Yeah. So for the closure, you do want me to email all your contact information to the individuals, and that way you're fine with me sharing all those details?
Yeah, sure. And I think it's I am able on like Instagram, TikTok. All my social is all the same. Yeah. It's all the Aaron Wolf, and then it's like I am able, I think FND, I am able Foundation, I think, on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So yeah, absolutely. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have any lingering questions, or did I miss anybody? I didn't see any come in the chat. Well, oh, I got Ken Gobo here typing. But you, like I said, there'll be the opportunity for everybody to kind of really to contact you individually as well.
Absolutely.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, Aaron, it's great to see you. It's great to see you doing this important work and getting people to stand together, to stand side by side. Young kids, college students, professionals, and getting people to stand up and kind of, fight for what everybody deserves, the same, to be treated, like everybody else. And I think it's real important to develop this kind of solidarity among people with learning differences. I applaud you for it. It's great to see people from Landmark go on and do this important work.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And as I've gone, I felt if I have even a bit of a voice to get to some people, I want to use it for the things I believe in the most.
Great. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Ken.
Well, thank you everybody for your time, and we'll follow up to make sure you guys have all the contacts that you need. But we really appreciate you guys helping us and helping start this movement with Aaron. Thank you.
It's gonna be awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.